Hello felting friends, welcome back to Chicken Run Creations. I was looking for something simple to do for our next video since we spent 10 videos doing our fox. And I put up on Facebook looking for suggestions on what to make, and I had two suggestions for doing a little raccoon, and since I have not made a raccoon before, I thought, sure, why not? So this is my little prototype for my little raccoon friend here. He didn't take too long, so this is and it's a pretty easy one, so this is a good beginner. Gives you a little bit more detail work for a beginner to work on. So this is what we're going to do. Probably take 2 videos. I don't think I'll be able to get it all into one video, so I'm probably going to do 2. But I've thought first I'll show you what I'm using, and you of course can use whatever you have on hand. You don't have to necessarily use the exact same colors that I did. You can do you can do a darker gray, you could do a lighter gray, it really doesn't matter, but I'll show you what I used and what we're going to use in this tutorial. So to start with, we have your needles. I have, let me see here, I have a 36, just a regular 36, I don't know if it's a triangle or flat, I don't know. And then I am not sure what this one is. I don't have my case here handy, so, but I'm guessing it might be a 40. I'm thinking it's a 40. And then I have a 40 spiral here, so it's got a little spin on it there for finishing work. I have my 2 clover tools. One of them has the 40 spiral in it. The other one has, I'm thinking, a 36. 2 36s. I like to use just 2 needles in them, but you can use up to 3. You need your felting pad. You need some scissors for trimming his tail. For the colors, well, first you need some core wool, just some basic core wool with its little vegetation in it. So I'm not sure how much. I can weigh it when I'm done and let you know how much, but I mean, this is way more than probably what I'll need. So I just have some white. This is just a white batting that I'll use for his chest and on his face and stuff. And then for the grays, so this I got from Cupid Falls Farms. They have a really nice selection of kind of natural colors. And this is the fog, Corriedale fog color, which is what I used for most of his body. I have the drizzle, which I used on his tail. You could do white on his tail too. I just kind of like the little off gray color, so I use that. And then I have Tornado, which is a little darker, which is what I used for around his eyes, and also, well, yeah, it's kind of hard to see, but on his, you can see the difference there on his end of his paws. I use that. I also have just a little bit of black here to use for his eyes and his nose, and this is just a little package. This is actually kind of looks an awful more like a brown. I might have to change that. Actually, it's almost purple, so I might change that up. I have a little bit of black sitting here. And then for whatever color you want to do his heart, I just pulled out a salmon color here to do his heart. The last one I did was a purple from my kit that I used for his heart. So yeah, so that's what you're going to need. I also have, and I will try and see if I can make this available, I'm not sure, but I have just a little pattern sheet here that I did up for it, if you can see that. I'll see if I can figure out how to scan this into my computer and make a PDF printable for you and have that available, if I can figure that out. I'm not the most technically inclined. I can get my way around computers and stuff, but sometimes it takes a little while. So yeah, I just did this little simple thing so I can compare sizes and stuff. So you can print off a picture of a raccoon if you want to. That'll help too. I just kind of went through and printed off a couple pictures. So that's where we're at. So let's get started here. We're going to start with his head. And I'll get a smaller piece here. So the head is, I mean, kind of round at the top, kind of, you know, not quite so round at the bottom. So I found the best way to do the head is to kind of make a, start out like you're going to make a cylinder, but as you're forming, I guess you could actually start with a circle too, and then, you know, kind of form the bottom. But I don't know, we'll see how it goes. I just never know when I start working on these things what they're going to do. So I'm just gonna cut this piece of core in half, and I probably won't use all of this, but it's about the width of what I want my head to be. And this is probably a little bit bigger because you can see compared to this here, it's a little bit bigger, but that's just because I traced around it. So this would be like, you know, before you get all the final felting done. But so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of roll this up as tight as I can, kind of tucking in the sides a little bit. I did have to like add on to the top. So just kind of tucking in the sides here as I go. And I'm going to take my 36 triangle and just kind of stab it down here a little bit. So what I want to do is I want to make this rounded here. So I'm just, see how I'm just kind of poking down, and how it gives it, if you can see here, it actually gives it kind of a curve. The wool's going to go in the direction that you poke it. So if you want it to curve, poke it in the direction that you want the curve to go. Just kind of tuck in the edges here. Same on this side. See how it kind of goes out? Now watch, if I see, as I start to kind of curve it, it just kind of follows the needle. So it's the nice thing about wool is whatever direction you want it to go, that's all you got to do, is you got to poke it in that direction. So I'm just going to work the sides here a little bit. I want to get it fairly firm, but I'm probably going to have to add more across the top. We'll see. So I wanted to, while I'm working on this, tell you about a Facebook group that I started that I will link to below if you want to, you know, find out more about needle felting. I have a couple groups. This one is, I've opened it up to other content creators. It's called Needle Felting. Oh goodness, I don't have it here in front of me. I'll post it up when I do it. Anyway, I've invited other content creators to post their videos and stuff, and I'm going to have some files to link to their websites and what have you, so you can follow along with other content creators and interact with them too. So, you know, if you're watching one of their videos and have a question, you can go ahead and ask them. And also I'm thinking about maybe doing some collaborations with them, whereas like we'll pick, you know, say a raccoon, and each of us will do a video on the raccoon and do our own take on it, because I think it's good to learn from other people. I've been doing this for a couple years now, and I still, every time I watch somebody's video, I learn something new each time. I watch it or learn a new technique that helps me improve in my craft. So if you're interested, I will put a link down below that you can come join us on Facebook. And the response has been really overwhelming over there. I'm quite shocked at how much it's grown since I've put it up. So a little plug there if you want to, learn more, find out more content creators, because I mean I have found a lot of just looking on YouTube for different things that I'm looking for and stuff, but it's like every time I turn around there's a new YouTuber that I found that I was like, wow, why didn't I see this before? So alright, so as you can see, we have the kind of general shape that we're looking for. It's about the same, the right width, but it's definitely needs to get a little taller on top if I compare it here. So I'm just going to take a little more wool here. I'm just going to kind of roll it up and stick it on top. I don't want it to get too much wider, but I do want it to get taller. And we will build up the back part of it too, because right now it's too narrow. We'll put more on the back side of his head. But so I'm just gonna kind of build up across the top. Don't worry about the seam. You can either wrap that with more core, or it's gonna get covered anyway with the gray. So remember not to lose your shape. I want to go a little bit more. So just keep adding little bits. Little bits are better than big bits. And also remember that your head is going to get smaller as it felts down more, so kind of keep that in mind as you're comparing it to your pattern. Okay, we're getting there. I'm gonna add just a little bit, because right now, if you can see, it's kind of curved here, and I mean it's not a big deal because this is where his neck is gonna attach, but I'm just gonna put a little bit underneath there. Still using my 38 triangle. Did I say 36 before? I'm sorry. I don't have a 38. I'm not a big fan of the 38 triangle. It just doesn't, especially when you're working with wool that's wrapped pretty firmly. I find that it just doesn't go in as well as the 36 does, so I tend to just use the 36 or smaller. Nope, I'm wrong. 38. I can't see. It's hard to remember that the bigger the number, the smaller the needle. They make things difficult. I'm liking that. Let's see. Could go maybe a little bit bigger, but all right. Now I want to, because right now his head is pretty skinny. If you look at this guy, how his head is rounded here. So we're gonna round out the back of his head a little bit. I'm just gonna do that in small increments here. Actually, I think instead of doing that, I'm gonna fold it. Let's see, which side do I want the front? I think I'm gonna make this the back. So I'm just gonna kind of fit this to the back of my head. So I'm just kind of tacking it in, kind of following the outline of his head here, because I want it to kind of round out. So okay, again, because I want it to round, so I'm poking, instead of poking down this way on the sides, I'm poking at an angle. Make sure you're going straight in and out, because if you go in like this and then go like this, you're liable to break your needle. So you want to go straight in and out. Again, here I want it to kind of curve around, so I get to the top part, I go more straight in and out, and then again on the sides, I go more at an angle. Okay, let's see. Not too bad. Maybe just a little bit more. The very back. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Alright, I could wrap all that over with a, maybe I'll just go across the back of his head. Just a really thin layer of core. You don't necessarily need to do this because you're gonna go over it with your gray, but it's kind of help because it's still gonna get smaller, because it's, I mean, it's definitely not felted all the way down yet, so just kind of smooths those added pieces out a little bit. All right, so next thing we're going to do is we're going to cover it with our gray. So I'm using a hunk of this off this fog color from Cupid Falls Farms. I'm just going to pull off a piece here. Make sure I remember where the front and the back is. Okay, this is the top of the head here. Maybe. No. All right, I'm losing it here. This is the front. Okay. There we go. All right, so I'm just gonna take my piece of wool here and just do a quick stab to attach it. This is really nice wool. It firms up really nicely. I'm not too concerned about the bottom because obviously we're going to attach that to the body, so it doesn't necessarily have to be totally covered at this point. I'll just bring over the edges here. Make sure you maintain your shape. Okay. Do a little bit more on the back here. And this is all going to get probably another coat over it once we attach the head anyway, so. And the front here, so we're going to do white for his snout. So, and this is all white here, so the front doesn't matter a whole lot because a lot of this part's going to be covered in white. So I just kind of want to get the edges covered. I'm going to switch up to my 240 spirals just to make this go a little bit faster. Obviously, if you don't have a clover tool, you can use a single needle, or you can just take 2 needles and do it like this if you have 2 of the same kind, and do it like this. These are 2 different ones, so it doesn't necessarily work as well. I like the spiral needle a lot. And while this isn't a total finish, at this stage of it, I mean, I could use my 38s, but they're harder going in, so I kind of like to switch over to the spiral. Or you could do a triangle. If you had a triangle, I don't think I have a 40 triangle. But you can see how just using 2 needles really speeds up the process. I find 3 is just harder to work with. So I like the 2. Alright, I think I'm going to round out the top of his head a little bit here. Alright, so I'm not totally firming it in. Use the gray color here. Use a little bit more than that. So you can see how his head comes out a little bit here. So I just want to get that. One trick I saw on a video that I was watching earlier is to take your wool and kind of rub it in your hands. I mean, I've done this like for making like ropes and eyes and stuff like that, but kind of rub it in your hands a little bit before you put it on, and you can see it actually starts to felt for you. Save you. Sometimes it's hard to work with the fluffy bits. This can help you a little bit. Okay. All right, that's pretty good. All right, now we're gonna do his snout. So I'm gonna take, let's see what I got over here. This might work. Just a little piece of the white batting that I have. And I kind of want a triangle shape. So that's going to be way too long, but that's okay. We're gonna, let me get my 38 here. So I'm going to kind of tuck in the end. Be real careful so you don't stab yourself. So I'm only going in like maybe 1/4 of an inch here. You could do this with the core wool and then wrap it with the white, but it's just easier to do it with the white. I think I used the core on my other one and then wrapped it. Okay, I want it to be a bit bigger than that. So I'm just going to take a small piece, kind of wrap it around. But I'm kind of, if you can see that, I'm kind of bringing it down because I don't want to build a lot up on the end because it kind of tapers. Gets bigger as it gets closer to his face. Switch to my spiral here. I want to get this pretty tight before I attach it because it's harder to work with once you get it on. And you're going to want it probably a little bit bigger than what you think it's going to look like, because once you start adding to the rest of his face, you're going to kind of lose it a little bit. I can add some more. This I'm going to add more downwards, not quite so much at the top, because I don't want to get it too big at the top. kind of pull some of that up a little bit. I don't want to go too long. All right, let's see. Okay, so I don't want to go any longer than that. So I'm going to kind of, so you can see here where I haven't felted, so I'm going to kind of keep that so I know where my base is. Because I want to leave the fluffy ends here at the end so we have something to attach it to the face with. So you can see it's getting pretty small here. As I'm making it firmer. All right, I'm gonna make it. So I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna rub it in my hand here. I kind of want it to be pretty narrow. So I'm just kind of trying to get a triangle shape here. So I wrapped more at the bottom and then kind of went up. I don't want a little, part of the problem with using a white like this is sometimes you can still get some vegetation in there. I could use a roving, but for a beginner project, I think the bats work easier for something small like this. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Okay, all right, so now I'm going to take just a little bit of the fluff off. I'm going to open this back part up. Like so. And then I'm going to figure out where's my front and back of my head. Okay. And I'm going to attach this fairly close to the bottom. And it looks like it's kind of big, but really once you get it going there, it's not. So I want to make sure that I'm just going to stab it a couple times here to make sure that I'm in the middle. Let's see. I think that's good. All right, so I'm just going to stab it down, and I'm just going over those fluffy pieces to start, just to hold it into place. And I'm going to go to a smaller needle, and then I'm going to stab right around the base of the snout into his head so it stays really well. If you think it's too big, you can kind of stab it down a little bit. So I found, like, if I think it's too big, I don't want to go too far yet, but you can kind of squish it down. And by stabbing it up high into the head, you can kind of make it a little bit shorter. But I don't want to go too much yet because we still need to finish building up his head. All right, let's just see here. So you can see, so it's a little bit bigger than this, but that's okay. We can focus the top down a little bit. It just kind of looks kind of weird at this stage of the game. Okay, so right now it's just a straight sticking out piece, where here you can see it's more tapered. So that's what we want to do next, is we want to work on building up around the base part of this so it's more tapered. So we're going to take our white, get the little piece of debris out of there. I'm going to rub it in my hands. So I don't want it to be too big because I don't want the top part of the snout to get any bigger, but I want the bottom part of it to get bigger. So I'm just going to wrap this around just the base, and I can just kind of come across the bottom like that. So we're going to do this a few times. This can just get tacked down on the bottom of the head. So I'm just going to take and go from the top to the bottom, just kind of make it smooth. Okay, so you can see now it's starting to kind of taper a little bit. All right. I'm just going to kind of take some little pieces and just kind of build up around the sides. So you can see I'm bringing it up a little bit onto the snout, but not a lot. And don't worry about your white, because this is all going to be white around the face here anyway, so don't worry about covering the gray. Okay. Starting to get there. Just put a little bit underneath. The nice thing about this batting is it felts really fast. I used to be resistant to using the batting, and don't really know why. I know sometimes it doesn't give as smooth of a finish as the roving does, so it really depends on what your project is. But for something quick and simple like this, it's sometimes easier just to use a batting. I'm going to put a little bit more on the top. I'm going to build up his cheeks here a little bit. So we'll build up his face just using this white. And then I'll only have to like do a little covering for it when we're done. Let's see, got little pieces everywhere here. Okay. See, he's bigger. Story of my life. This is why I did the head first, because I knew if I did the body first, it would either end up being too big or too small. Okay. Let's see here. And I still think I need, let's see, maybe not. Let's put his nose on. Sometimes just getting a nose into place kind of helps. So I just have a little bit of black here. I'm just gonna roll it up in my, make a little ball in my hands here. Put this guy in front of me so I can see what I'm doing. I guess that's pretty good. So just have a little, just roll the black into a little ball. I'm gonna stick it on the end of his nose here. And yeah, use this one. So I kind of made the other one kind of a little triangular in shape. So I'm gonna try and do that by making it flat across the top. At the moment I'm just poking down the sides of it. I think the end of my snout might be a little too small. You be careful when you're poking with a small needle that you don't bend it. You can kind of maneuver it with your fingers. I'm going to poke it down in the middle. No, he ain't very triangular. Careful where you're holding it, because you can see, because this is so narrow, you can see my needle coming out on the side. So you want to make sure that you don't stab yourself. So I'm kind of using my fingers to kind of shape it here. I think my snout on the other one is a little bit bigger around. So the nice thing about working with wool is, honestly, it's so easy to make adjustments to. Because if you find something isn't working, you can add You can cut stuff off. I've cut stuff off before. Just kind of keep building at it until it gets to the shape or the thickness or whatever that you think it looks good. And every project comes out different. At least mine do. And I've seen some people who do a lot of the same thing and they all look very similar, but I guess because I don't do a lot of one thing, I haven't found that rhythm yet, or whatever. I don't know if rhythm is the right word or not, but yeah, I think is, well, let's see. We're gonna go with it. We'll get adding the other colors on and see what we get. Okay. All right, so next I want to do the dark spots here. So I'm going to take my tornado. You could go with black. All right, I'm going to find the end of the wool here. There we go. Actually, do we have some here? We do. Okay. All right, so we're going to just maybe a little too much. Make these little eye patches here. I'm just kind of trying to make them kind of rounded here and then just bring it right down. Take a little bit of this off. Again, it doesn't matter because it's going to kind of come down underneath his neck here. Alright, so I'm just going to do a little bit there. And then I'm going to do the other side. And see how I like it before I firm it totally in. Try and get them pretty similar. And we can kind of shape them a little bit more. must have stabbed more over here because I notice it's a lot harder to get the wool in on this side. That problem with the eye too. Nope, it's not quite as round as the other one, but okay, there we go. Okay, I am going to stop the video here. And the next one we will work on the body. Now, if you see my picture here, this one I just gave little feet to, but on here I actually made legs. So I'm undecided if I'll do little feet there or if I'll do legs like I did on this one. We'll see. I gotta fix my little heart here, get him. I think I'll have to sew that on. I just needle felted it, but I think maybe I'll sew it on. So anyway, he looks a little bit better now that he's got a face. I still think maybe I need to make his snout a little bit bigger. We'll see. All right, so we will do the body next time, get his ears done. And hopefully this will only take 2 videos. We'll see. He's definitely going to be a bit bigger. I can squish him down a little bit here. A bit bigger than this guy is. But that's okay. Everyone's different. So, all right, until next time, have yourself a good day, and we will see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.